Okay. Alright, so we've made it to lesson 7. We are plugging right along, and we are going to be using today our place value chart a whole lot. Now, yesterday, I think it was, we saw the place value chart, but then I told you I just want you to watch it, and then we're going to not have to actually do it on our problem set and whatnot. Today we are, okay? Today we are using our place value chart a whole lot, and we're also going to be doing our problem set problems and our exit ticket problems using the place value chart. So tops are on the markers, everything's set aside, okay? All right, so right now we're just doing some listening. All right, we're going to jump over these review problems because we have just reviewed a bunch of multiplication. But this actually says, let's read this. I can use place value discs. When they say discs, they're just talking about little dots or circles on the place value chart. I can use place value discs to represent 2-digit, shouldn't hear any markers. They are all down. Okay, 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication. Okay. 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication. So we are going to be doing those types of problems. A lot of you might, I'm not sure, a lot of times when we start this, everybody's kind of at a different spot. Some of you have been shown by a teacher in your past how to do some of these problems. And when they say 2-digit by 1-digit, they're talking about a problem that looks something like this. Okay. Now, if you did problems like this in 3rd grade, raise your hand. With your teacher. Okay. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to see that. All right, you can put your hands down. Now, let me ask you this about that. If you did that in 3rd grade, did you learn it what I call just the regular way, where you multiply to here and then you multiply to here? Okay.
That's not how I learned it.
So, right now, we have a room full of people that have probably learned it different ways from different teachers, different parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. You know, if they've ever worked with somebody, they might have shown you the way they learned it. And so we have a mixture. And I get that. And I don't want to take that away from anybody, especially if you've learned it and you know how to do it. And you keep that as your own tool in your toolbox, okay? We are, over the next several days, going to learn some different strategies, some different ways to do these kinds of problems. And the numbers will get larger as we go. In several more days, we'll have 2 digits on the bottom, okay? But as we go along, we're going to learn some different ways to do this. And on those days that we do that, I'm going to have you do it that way just so you learn that way, okay? You might hate it one day. You might hate the way we do it one day. You might love it the next day. You might, you're going to feel that way about different methods or strategies that we use. Then, when all this is kind of done, we will go to what I call the regular old way, the standard algorithm, the way that I learned it, the way that probably your parents and grandparents learned how to do it. And at that point, you can choose the way you like best, okay? If you like one of these newer ways that you see in the next few days, and you want to keep doing it that way, nothing wrong with it, okay? But when we look at the place value chart, we're learning a strategy, but we're also seeing kind of what happens behind the scenes of a multiplication problem, okay? So let's jump in right here. I'll turn that off. Okay. So here we have our place value chart. And at first, I just want you to watch how this works. There's no big trick to it. Just want you to see how it works, and then you're going to jump in with me and we'll do some of these together. So we have a small place value chart with our ones place, our tens place, and our hundreds place. And right now, that is enough. It wouldn't matter if this was a lot bigger chart, but that's enough for right now. And we have our multiplication problem 2 times 23, and they've also written it vertically like this, because this is how we're going to start seeing things a lot, like this, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is grab the number, and we're gonna grab that larger number and put it on the place value chart in discs, because this is the number that's going to tell us how many times to repeat it. Could we do it the opposite? I could put 2 up there and I could repeat it 23 times. That's a lot of repeating. I would rather put 23 on there and just repeat it twice. Okay, because remember how a multiplication is repeated addition. Okay, so that's why I'm saying the word repeat. So we're going to put 23 on here, simply with 2 tens and 3 ones. That was super fast, wasn't it? Okay, 23 is on there to start with. Now we've got to show 23 on there 2 times. Here is where we are actually doing the multiplying. Okay, so I'm going to change its color just to show we have done this and we didn't start with this many. All right, so if I'm going to show it on there 2 times, okay, now it's 2 times total. Don't let that confuse you. It's not 2 more times. It's 2 times total. So we have 23 dots on here 2 times total, right? Y'all see that? Okay, nothing hard about this. I just want to make sure we get these steps. We put our first number on there. Then we put it as many times as we're multiplying it by, okay, total. And now we count up our answer. That's all we do. So how many do we have in the tens place? 4. So this becomes our 4. How many do we have in the ones place?
6.
Okay, your voice came from over there. That's amazing. Okay, there we go. 46. There's our answer. See how easy that was with the place value chart. Now, let me guess, this may be how you have done this before, where you did 2 times 3, 2 times 4. No? No?
I'll see my daddy did.
Okay. Okay. So if that's the way you've been saying it, where this number on the bottom goes to each number on the top, that's what's coming later. We are going to do that, and I just wanted to show you. It turns out the same answer. This is just what's happening kind of behind the scenes. Now, as we go along and the numbers get a little larger, probably the thing that we have to be most careful about is drawing our dots carefully and repeating them as many times as we're supposed to repeat them. Okay? So let's move on. Go ahead and grab your marker. And we're going to do this one together. And folks at home, if you do not have a place value chart, you can draw one as we go for each problem that we do. It's good practice to know how to draw your place value chart. Okay? All right, so, yes.
I have a marker and my pencil box, but I'm not there anymore.
Okay, where's your bag with your eraser and your markers? It's always supposed to be in your backpack.
I put it on my and I put it on.
But it goes in your backpack, never in your desk. So it's looking in your desk right now. Okay, pull things out, get it down there and really, really look. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put 54 on the place value chart with our dots and discs. Okay, so go ahead and do that. You're putting 54 on your place value chart. You already have these labels. I'm just adding them to mine. Okay. What is 54 going to look like? Well, I know exactly how many to put in the tens place. I know exactly how many to put in the ones place. That's why knowing our place values is very important and very helpful. So your board should look like this. That fast. Okay. You've got those big markers, just all you gotta really do is touch it. Okay. Okay. Alright. Now, how many times are we multiplying by? What number are we multiplying by?
4.
By 4. So when I'm all done, I should see 4 groups of this. Okay, now let me say this. If it gets to where, like, there are some times where we're gonna have a lot of dots on there. If you need to circle each group to keep them separate from each other so you can make sure you have the right numbers, that's fine. You know, put like a little oval around it. So let's go ahead and do the multiplying. We're gonna multiply by 4. Okay, so my tens place is done, but I have to do the ones also. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 5 now, not just one. If you can't find it in there, I want you to look in your backpack also. Okay, so we're also going to do the ones. Each part of that number has to be multiplied. You can't just do the tens and say I'm done. You got to do the tens and the ones. Okay, another good way to do it. All right. Okay. If you need to separate them somehow, somebody had done this just to show, you know, just to help. Some people just need that organization when they look at something, and that works too if you want to separate them. But as long as you can see that you have 4 groups of 5 here and 4 groups of 4 here. Now, this answer becomes a little more interesting because, whoa, we have a lot of dots in each of those places, and we cannot leave it like that. Okay? So, we're going to go into the tens, and how many dots are we going to bundle each
5.
time we bundle them up to move them out? Because this is too many to keep in the tens place. How many? 10. So every time I have a group of 10, I've got to move it along to the next bigger place value. So 2 5s would make a 10, and another 2 5s would make a 10. We have 2 groups of 10, don't we? So we're going to move that over and move that over. And let's draw those dots over here. See how we did that? Here's 10. That became 100 because 10 tens is 100. That group of 10 became a 100. Now our chart's getting kind of full of stuff, isn't it? But we're not done. We cannot leave the ones place like this. There's too many. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 16 dots there. Okay, so we're going to bundle up a group of how many?
10.
Say it real loud.
10.
Okay, I want you to hear that. I want you to know that number. We're bundling up a group of 10. I'm going to bundle that in orange. Now, where does it move to? The tens place. So I know there's a lot going on in that tens place right now, but I'm going to draw it over there and hopefully still be able to see that we now have at least 1 dot in the tens place. See, all the others left, but there is one there now. Okay, so we'll give you a second to catch up with me. Okay, so how many dots do we have in the hundreds place now?
2.
We have 2. Or you should have 2. How many dots are in the tens place now?
1.
1. And what about in the ones?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our number is 216, and that is our final answer. If we were to work this out the standard algorithm way, 4 times 4 is 16. I would carry the 1. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 more is 21. Now, which of those 2 ways, this way took me a few minutes, this way took me a few seconds. Which way is more efficient? I don't know if we know that word. Because we might learn all these different ways to do something. We really want to choose the one that's most efficient for us. So what do I mean when I say that? What do you think? What do you think that means?
Easier?
I don't know if it's always going to be the easier way. Okay, so I don't know if we can include that description. What were you going to say?
More helpful for you to learn them.
The easier, the helpful, it might be in there a little bit, but it's not our main meaning. What were you going to say?
The one that like you mostly get the right answer.
Okay, all of that kind of goes together. That's not really what I'm looking for. Most efficient.
It fits you. That's what you like to use.
No. This isn't really about like my opinion. Most efficient would be the one that gets the job done the quickest. Okay, I'm sorry, I should have called. Okay. It gets the job done because I can do it. So that's kind of where your opinion comes in. I like that way. I know how to do that way. That way helps me, but it also helps me get it done the quickest. If every math problem we ever did took us 10 minutes to do, we'd be in math for a lot longer.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, let's move on to our other example. So clear off your board. We're going to move. All right, so we have 42 times 5. Let me give you a minute to get started and see if you know how to get yourself started on this. All right, go ahead and do that. 42 times 5. Start off by putting 42 in dots on your place value chart. That's where you start. Then you will multiply. After you've multiplied and have 5 groups of 42, then you've got to make sure you don't need to do any bundling and moving groups of dots. And this is where writing with that big marker, you have to be really careful so that you can still see all of your dots. Just be careful. Some of you are just about done. I'm going to get caught up with you so we can talk about it. Question? Stop for just a second and look. After you did the multiplying part, this is what you should have had. Multiplying by 5, so 5 groups of 4, 5 groups of 2. See that? But I know just by looking, I better count these because if I have 10 or more, I need to move them. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have to squish this in right here. Okay. That was moving them over so that they're fitting in their place values correctly. Okay. So what is our final, how many hundreds did you wind up with when you completely finished? Let's raise our hand for that. Don't just holler it out. Ishmael, how many hundreds did you wind up with? 2. Okay, good. What about tens? Bailey, how many tens did you have? 1. It's hiding up there on mine. Okay, I need a little bit bigger chart. And how many ones are we left with? Yeah.
In the tens place, there's supposed to be 2. You added 1 there, and there's 1 there.
Okay, so let me check that. I have 4. I have 5 groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that one moves. All right, this comes over. Where's the other one coming from?
Because I have
Okay, to start with, like after you multiplied, you had 21?
after I put 5.
Yeah, after you put 5 groups of 4. Okay, but 5 groups of 4, 5 times 4 is what? So there's an extra one. And you know what? Listen, that kind of thing is so easy to happen on these marker boards because you have a fat marker and sometimes you might accidentally touch your board. Like my hair accidentally touches the board and draws for me. So I have to be careful of that kind of stuff. So, all right, so we are going to wind up with no ones left. Okay, and if we did this with our standard algorithm, 5 times 2 would be 10. And give us a 0 there, and we'd carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 more is 21. Now, we're not doing it this way today, but I'm going to throw it in every now and then so that you start seeing it, okay? All right. Any questions about this way? Probably one of the biggest things to remember today is just to draw your dots carefully. When you multiply, make sure you multiply it the right number of times. Okay? Make sure you really only circle 10 dots if you're moving them over, because if I accidentally circle 11 or 9, I might have an extra dot here or there. And then when I count up my answer, it's not accurate, it's not right. So just be careful. This is like anything we do. There's lots of parts and pieces moving, and we've just got to be careful and be as neat as we can so we count it up correctly. Okay, So that is pretty much what we're doing today. In just a little bit, we will explain our problem set. Okay, let me look at the. Tell you what, let me go ahead and explain it, and then we'll take our quick break. Now, this is our problem set today. All right, lay your markers down, guys. Yesterday, when we saw place value charts, we didn't worry with them. We jumped right over them, and we went straight to what looked like math equations, math problems. Today, we are stopping at the place value charts. Okay? And we are doing exactly what we just did. They're showing you this math problem right here. Okay, you go away and you get fixed, and then you come back. I hate having to put this on every screen. It drives me crazy. Sorry, little rant over. Okay. All right, they put the number 43 on their place value chart, but it's 43 times 1. So are they going to do any more dots or any moving there? No, it's going to stay the same. But then we move on to 43 times 2. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we just do that a minute ago? Okay, and that's okay. You know, if our practice problem looks the same as one of your problem set problems, just go ahead and do it. You know how to do it now because we've done it together. It's just going to give you practice putting it on the chart, moving the dots over, and whatnot. Okay. The rest of this, I guess the good part for y'all is that these problems are very spread out, so there's not as many. Okay. All right, we've got a problem, we've got a chart, a problem, a chart. So each time you're putting the problem on the chart, you're multiplying it on the chart with the dots. You're bundling up groups of 10 and moving them over if you need to. Oh, more charts, more problems. Woo-hoo. Okay. I think I just went back up to the same. No.
Is it the right page?
It's not sure.
This?
Okay. So right now, let's go ahead and put away our place value chart, marker, eraser. You're going to have a chart on your actual workbook page to do this on.
Let me put my chart.
Today, our exit ticket will be on paper. For a couple of reasons, but it will be on paper. Much easier to show the work of that place value chart on paper. But that's not the only reason. All right, get all that put away, and then while you're putting up, get out your workbook and lay it on your desk, and we will get started in just a minute when we come back.
That's what I was looking for.
That's why you need your lanyard on. Okay. If you have your stuff put up and workbook laid out, you may go ahead and walk to the line. Okay.